Hi, friends, and welcome back to another episode of This is for the Soul, and I'm your lovely host, Brianna Sade. We talk about all things mental health, spirituality, personal development, girl talk, you name it, we're going to talk about it. So for today's episode, we are going to be talking about deconstruction, the deconstruction of religion, and most importantly, why this is happening in the first place. This one might ruffle some feathers, I'm not going to lie, but I want to make this very, very clear that this episode is not intending to bash anyone's religious belief or higher power. This is more about understanding, reflection, and holding space for everyone, regardless of where they are on their spiritual journey. You guys know by now that TikTok is my source for the inspiration. And I got inspired by this girl who was sharing her experience with religion and how her perspective has shifted over time and how she sees God differently. Like, she once was an avid churchgoer and now she just doesn't go to church as much as she used to. And the truth is, everyone's perspective and view on God is different. For me, God is energy, God is source, God is spirit, and God is everything around us. We are now in a space, especially within my generation and the one before us, where we're becoming more aware of self, and there's a heightened interest in spirituality and what it actually means to be spiritual, especially in a world where the path isn't always so clear. And with spirituality, there is no rule book. There is no set of commandments you have to follow. It's all based on you and your own free will, and that's the difference. For a long time, I felt lost spiritually, especially as a child. I grew up in a Christian household, but a lot of the things that I was taught just didn't resonate with me or didn't stick with me the way that I would have liked for it to stick. It all felt foreign. And yes, I did try to understand, but like many others, I was taught that this was the only way to follow God. It bothered me. It bothered me for a long time because I wanted to find spiritual connection, but I just didn't know how to find it. I didn't know how to go about it. It wasn't until having honest conversations with myself, friends, family, and exploring spirituality on my own that it all started to make sense for me. Also, watching my mom evolve on her own spiritual journey, it helped. It helped a lot because I was watching her, and seeing her shift spiritually gave me permission to do the same. And there's no doubt that we are in the midst of another great awakening, a collective period of enlightenment where conversations related to spirituality, intuition, and the inner knowing are becoming more normalized rather than being taboo. And this shift is both energetic and conscious, because if you are putting in the work, then you're feeling this. If you're putting in the work, if you're moving in your own purpose and you're secure in your sense of spirituality or whatever you believe, then you're feeling this shift. We are just in a movement right now that's rooted in collective healing and the need to feel safe and understood. People are tired of walking down paths that feel inauthentic or incomplete. So they're starting to ask questions. And if that's what it takes to find peace and clarity, then that's just what it's going to have to be. As humans, we're always changing, evolving, growing individually and collectively. And one thing that I can say is social media has played a huge role in this shift. Yes, it may have its downsides, but it has given people access to content and different perspectives on God and faith in the world and how things work. And some of these perspectives were once hidden and silenced. And it's showing people that religion isn't the only answer. There are other things out there to help you. And maybe what we were always taught to believe wasn't always the full truth. And let's talk about the Bible, for example. The Bible has been edited and rewritten so many times to fit certain agendas for specific time frames, and whole chapters have been removed and taken away. So in many ways, people are picking and choosing what they want to follow and are being told not to question it. That is conditioning. And vulnerability is big within the world right now. There's so much civil unrest, political chaos, climate change, rising depression and anxiety. We naturally seek something. We naturally seek something that is greater than ourselves for comfort and clarity. We seek purpose. We seek something that helps give us motivation to continue on. And a lot of the times people, through their spiritual or religious practices, we seek practice, we seek purpose, but religion often says, if you seek God, you'll find him. If you read the Bible, things will get better. If you keep praying, your prayers will be answered. Now, that may be true for some, but when none of this actually does happen, you're still not allowed to ask questions. We're told to fear God, but how can we build a relationship with something that you are told to fear? And this is where a lot of people get lost in the sauce, because they've done the work, they've done everything that they've been told to do, but yet it still does not feel right. There still is no peace, there still is no clarity, yet they remain obedient because that is all that they know. And unfortunately, some religious institutions exploit that vulnerability. They feed off the trauma of the people feeling broken and sinful and use it as a tactic to control. That's why people gather in these spaces, because when you're in an environment with a bunch of people who have a similar intent to heal and feel a sense of purpose and belonging, and that's what brings people together, not just because they want God, because they want to feel whole, they want to feel loved, they want to feel seen and healed, and they want to find a place that nourishes those feelings. But for many, the church has become just the complete opposite of that. It's become a place of judgment instead of safety, because of things like purity culture, racism, queerphobia, sexism, etc. Religious trauma is real. There are so many people who go through it every single day, yet we are just expected to ignore it. Some churches have turned into businesses using the gospel to manipulate, take people's money, and keep them oppressed. And again, not all, but many do give off this vibe. And it's pushing people away from their faith when in reality, they're just simply looking for a genuine connection with God. And this isn't about abandonment. It's about redefining our values, beliefs, and spiritual connection in a way that feels whole and rooted in love. People want a God who offers unconditional love, free will, no judgment, no shame. So what does moving forward look like? Well, it starts with reimagining spiritual community and what we want it to look like for ourselves. How do we want people to feel? How do we want to feel? How do we create spaces that are safe and inclusive for everyone? It also means honoring ancestral wisdom, nature, spiritual practices, and even mysticism, because there is truth in the occult, there is power in your inner knowing, and there is guidance in your intuition. Let your spirituality be a form of guidance and not control. Because when you dive too much into something, like I always say, it can become detrimental. So make sure that you're using it as a tool instead of a way to control. Because at the end of the day, you do have free will. And finally, it's just all about continue healing, go to therapy, educate yourself, and free your mind from those limiting beliefs that are keeping you stagnant or holding you back. Because you're not perfect and no one is asking you to be. Spirit says, come as you are, just be willing to do the work. This isn't just about deconstruction, but it's more so about the transformation process. That is the end of this episode. If this resonated with you, I would love for you to share it with someone who is questioning healing or evolving in their own faith. And if you are in the middle of redefining your own beliefs, just know that you're not alone and give yourself grace. Remember to follow This Is For The Soul for more grounded conversations like this one. And also go ahead and follow me on TikTok at Soul Sage and Tarot, where I do share more content from the pod, do mini readings, affirmations, daily gems, all that good stuff. And if you feel called to leave a review or share a message with me, I would love to hear from you and I would love to hold that space for you. But as always, because my camera is dying, I love you guys and I will chit chat with you next episode. Bye. Mwah.